So what are you covering during this session, Azim?
Ellen, do you want me to start?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So, thank you very much, guys, for joining me in Building a Bot Live. So, this is a technical session, as Ellen's mentioned. We'll actually be building a robot, an RPA robot using UiPath technology. So, the way we're going to do that is there's going to be some interaction between myself and the audience. So, I'll be building it on screen and I'll be getting your ideas, and we'll do it that way. So talk very little about RPA and more about showing RPA in action and the development side of the robot. So I hope you guys will enjoy, and just give it a start now. Just put my stopwatch. Sorry, guys. I don't want to run over. Will this, Ellen, will this breakout close after 40 minutes automatically, or?
I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. It'll be a big surprise for us.
All right. Okay, cool. So just to give you guys a bit of a background about who I am. So my name is Azim, and I've been building RPA robots since 2016. So I'm Blue Prism and UiPath certified. I work mainly with Blue Prism, but I do enjoy my UiPath projects as well. I have worked in many roles doing RPA, but the one I enjoy the most is being a lead developer. You know, I like the fact that, you know, I can get in and get my hands dirty building a couple of robots, and at the same time, you know, help junior developers and manage people. So I enjoy that part of things. Hence the reason why I'm here, really, because, you know, I like to share a lot of the stuff that RPA has got to offer. I am an IT contractor, so I've got my own company that I started in 2017. And over this time, I've got involved in quite a lot of projects. I've built a lot of robots, not 60, but a big number of that. And I've overseen at least 60 plus robots in a lot of projects. So hopefully that will help me in this live session. So that's me. Just wanted to get a bit of an overview about who our audience is today. So I noticed we have 40 plus people in this room. So if you could write your job title and the industry you're in, what that's going to help, you know, me do is kind of see if we have, you know, people from specific areas, and I'll try and cover things that are relevant to that. So Ellen, if you could have a look and just give me a general idea of who's joined us today for this session. And as that's happening, I'll go over the schedule and what we're going to be doing in this session. So I will cover very briefly what RPA is. I don't want to stick too long in the theory side of things, because, you know, I'll actually show you the technology. And after that, it will be, you know, our main dish, so to speak, and what we're here for. Building a robot. So I've broken this down into 3 parts. We'll first plan to build a robot. Now, guys, it's not going to be, you know, a very advanced robot, because we only have, you know, 20 minutes to actually build it. So we'll take 5 minutes to plan a very simple robot. And I've got some rules as to what we need to do for that, but you'll be able to get in your ideas. And, you know, we'll spend 20 minutes building it. And then after that, hopefully we get some time to play with the robot we've built in this session. So what is the objective of this workshop? So the main thing I'm looking to achieve here is to give you a detailed insight as to when someone says RPA, you will immediately have, you know, a visual in your head as to what it means when someone says a robot. So that's kind of my objective. So hopefully we'll be able to build a robot completely and interact with it. But I think if we don't get to the end of that, you would still see 20 minutes of an RPA robot being built. And I'm hoping that at the end of that, you know, we've achieved what we're here for. So Ellen,
yeah, we've got quite a range of people in the room. So we've got lecturers, we've got UX researchers, we've got developers, we've got CTOs, we've got quite a few data people in here, delivery managers, product owners and product managers. We've got a photographer, strategy consultants. So yeah, quite a wide range, and
wow.
across a broad range of industries as well. So that's really exciting.
Perfect. I'm great. And, you know, it'd be good to, after you've seen this technology, that all these different industries can give us an insight as what they think that where they can apply this. But photography, that's an interesting one. Right. So what is RPA? And I'm hoping that most of you guys know what RPA is already, but if you don't, here's a brief kind of description. So it's a technology that allows us to do automation based on user interface. And I say that mainly because, you know, RPA doesn't just interact with user interface. It can use any of the legacy kind of automation methods like APIs and things like that and incorporate into it. And that's what makes it so popular. It's versatile. You're mainly driven by the user interface and what the user actually sees on screen, but you can integrate anything else as you know you will see. The other good thing about it is that it is low code and it has a workflow element to it. So what you will see is I will be doing an automation that if you were to do with a legacy kind of method and you would program it, you'd take a long time to do, and I'll do it very quickly with RPA. And as anyone that's not technical, you'll be able to visualize and understand exactly what I've done. And that's the good part of it. One of the examples I like to give is a lot of the times when you've got loads of spreadsheets, you see the technical guys creating macros, Excel macros to kind of, where you just press a button and it does everything for you. Well, RPA enables you to do that, but the only difference is, you know, you don't need to know Visual Basic for applications, which is the language you need to write a macro, or at least an advanced macro. You can do it with RPA yourself without much technical knowledge. And that's where, you know, a lot of the advantages come in for RPA. So a couple of quick advantages of RPA. So if you're looking at deploying RPA, it is a lot quicker than the legacy kind of programs where, you know, you'd have to, for example, if you want to integrate 5 applications, you would need to, you know, get a project running for that, to get programmers that know different languages and things like that. With RPA, it's just different. You know, you get your machine with UiPath and Blue Prism now. I think they offer on cloud kind of environments where you can have them set up in a couple of hours, and then you start building your robot and you can integrate seamlessly with applications. So that's one of the big reasons why it's gaining so much traction. And the other main reason, which I've covered a few times, is integrate and automate anything, literally. And I'll show you that when I'm covering the bot. Things you need to consider with RPA are the licensing costs. Obviously, this is going down because the technology is getting more popular, and I think with UiPath, they even give you like a POC kind of license and things like that. I'm sure someone that knows the licensing part can cover that, but you know, that's something you need to consider. And also, whatever application we're automating, as you'll see in this session today, I won't automate the application that I've chosen. You will choose that for me. And, you know, we wouldn't have spoken to their technical team, wouldn't have access to their backend, yet we're automating it. So if they change and we haven't got any relationship for them to let us notify us, then obviously that affects us. And, you know, in a company setting, in an enterprise setting, you're most likely going to have the right people involved anyway, and they can let you know in advance. But obviously, that is something to consider. So before I go into, you know, covering what and how we're going to approach building a robot, Ellen, is there anything in the chat, any questions or anything like that?
No questions. There's just a general chat about the approach to technology and how we should be considering the human side of things. So
perfect, thank you.
very important.
Indeed. I think Ivana's talk covered a bit about that, you know, we shouldn't think about technology as technology. You should think about it more than that, and that summarized it perfectly. Cool. So let's get into the main event, building our robot. Okay, so since we've got a limited time, around 30 minutes from now, there is some rules that I need to make here for us to build a simple robot. So the first thing is, with this robot, we're going to need some type of input to give it, and that's why I need your help. So what I'm looking for is I want to automate a website. So with RP, you can automate any type of application. It doesn't have to be a website, but for the sake of simplicity, I've chosen a website. So if you can think of a website where you could give an input in simple text format, ideally like a one-word input. Could be something like, for example, one that I like to try a lot is like a website, and I put it on a website called Is It Down or Is It Just Me? And it checks if a website is down or up and running, something like that. And ideally, I want a website where you put in your word, you press a button, and then, you know, it gives you the response that you're looking for. Again, these limitations are only because of the time constraint we have, not because of RPA itself. So I'm hoping we're getting some suggestions, Ellen, as that's happening. Is that clear what I'm looking for, or just check?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
We've got a
perfect.
couple of suggestions, so coming through. So
Okay,
yeah, just keep
that's fine.
sending them to the group or to me privately. It's up to you.
Perfect. So if you, we'll keep the suggestions coming, and whilst that's happening, I'm just going to cover quickly the other two parts of building the bot, and then we can start with the practical side of things. So
Quick
obviously,
question,
sorry,
Azim,
yeah.
actually, that just came in. Do you need the name of the website? Do you need to be that specific?
Yeah, basically I need a website address, and then I can check it, and then I can see if it's, well, obviously we'll have some ideas. I'll choose one from there that's useful, and we'll take it from there. So once we have a website, then obviously the next part will be building the bot, which is what we're here for. And we'll build the robot to kind of go into the website. So we'll open Internet Explorer, navigate to the website, put the one word or the input in the field, and then press the button. And then the robot will then read the output. And then the last part of that is to think about what we want to do with the output. And that's where, you know, initially I'll put like a message box so we can see it on screen. But I've got a surprise for you guys. So if we do this in good time, there is a surprise that I prepared for everyone. So let's see how it goes. So I hope that's clear for everyone. If you have any questions, this is the time before we start. And Ellen, if you can give me some websites, I will have a look, and let's see what we can find.
Yeah, we've got a few come up. So eBay is one.
Okay.
Could we automate the process of searching for coffee machines, for example?
Yeah, you see, the problem with that is for eBay is that you put in one word and you press a search, which is what I'm looking for, but then the output is like a table. So it's not ideally what I'm looking at here. I'm just looking for, you know, like a, I'll give you an example. For example, this website here that I mentioned before, I put in www.google.com, and I just check if it's down or not. And then the output is like a sentence or a word, you see? Just to keep things simple. We can automate eBay outside of this setting. But,
yeah, I think so. One of the other scenarios that's come up, I think maybe is a little bit more complex. Is about matchmaking for a community of actors within a platform.
Right. And what would be the input on that?
Let's have a look. So there's a couple that have gone on
So
to everybody. So Michelle has suggested the worldometers.info coronavirus.
Okay, I've got that here. Let's try that. Okay, so what would be the input here? Again, this is to read kind of data rather than put in something. Oh, there's a search button here. I don't know what I'd put in here, USA. You see that? Yeah, you see, this is a dynamic website. Yeah. Well, I have got a contingency in place.
Yeah, maybe if we give someone an example of
yes,
the kind of thing you could automate. Yeah.
So here is a website that converts any text to a binary. So if I put in my name, for example, so that's the input now, okay, a text input. And this is the button, convert, and I've got my output. So the robot will come into this website, put in the text, press the button, and read the output and say, here you go. A bit like a calculator, 1 + 1, and you get your output, stuff like that. So let me see if I can go through the chat and see any websites. If you guys can put the URL, that way I can just copy and paste.
So
If
David suggested, I guess it's his own company, Orange Door Digital.
Okay.
Yes, that's my company.
Do you want to talk through what you're thinking about automating there?
Yeah, to basically, okay, it's based on a funnel. So you put your names in and stuff, and then it goes through and gives you emails and a whole lot of things and follow-up emails and so on. So perhaps something here where I can be notified when somebody goes onto the site.
Yeah, I mean, again, that is possible, but I think for the purposes of this example, I'm looking for a one field input and gives a one kind of line result. So you see, that's what I'm looking for. Currency conversion, Atul, do you have a website in mind? We could probably do that. xe.com. Let's try that.
that works.
Yeah. Give me 1 sec. I will just send the URL. Or yeah, X
That's
conversion.
yeah,
You can use that.
xe.com works,
Yeah.
doesn't it? I think that's a good idea, I think. So shall we stick with that, everybody? Is everyone happy with that? Yeah. The purpose here is more showing you how we'll use these tools, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's try and pick up
Great.
a specific currency. Okay. Cool. So in this website then, again, you see there's no button to press, but I've got an idea of what we can do there. Anyway, so if we were to put in, for example, $10, then obviously it takes some time and then it gives us the output there and we can read that. So let's go with that. Let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. So let me just close the chat here. So this is UiPath Studio, okay? And this is where we build our robot. And as you can see, it may look a bit intimidating, but it isn't really. It's quite simple. What we've got open here is called a workflow. There is different ways that you can build a sequence of events, and workflow is one of them. And this is what I meant when I said that things can be quite visual, even though it is going to be quite a technical exercise. And the thing that that really makes UiPath useful is the activities on the left side here. So here what you can choose is what you like the bot to do. So for example, message box. Let's say I want the robot to display a message box. All I have to do is drag and drop, and I have put it now on the workflow, and when I press play, the robot will go there. Now, obviously, whenever you choose any activity, then you have to look at the properties section on the right and give it some properties so that obviously the robot knows what to do with the activity you've chosen. This one is pretty simple. We've got the text that we want to display. And again, UiPath is quite good in telling you what you need to put in those boxes. So as we're dealing with a technical program, you can't just write text. You have to specify that what you're writing is a string. So what you do is you're putting the quotes, and then you write, this is a text, okay? And that's it. So that's a robot built to display, just a message box. Don't know how useful that is, but if I run it, then you'll be able to see it doing what we've just told it to do. So if you were to program this, it'll probably take you a bit longer than just dragging and dropping and typing in a text to put in the message box. So for our purposes, automating xe.com, I search for the activity for a browser. So I can do it this way, where I specifically choose individual activities and I drag and drop them. And as you can see here is then asking me what URL you want to put in. I can just say www.xe.com. But there is something even better, and what really helps out when it comes to doing automation very quickly, and this is the recording functionality. So if I choose that I want to record a web, then it tells me, okay, you want to record a website, what do you want to do first? And it'll be, so I will do a sequence of events here manually. This will be recorded by UiPath, and then it will create the workflow for me. And all I then have to do after that is just modify it to suit what I wanted my robot to do and make it a bit more dynamic. So I choose, I want to open a browser, and at this point you'd have the browser open, you choose what browser you want. So we've already got, I prefer to always use Internet Explorer, even though it's a bit old now, but because it's integrated with Windows, it's a lot better to use. And the URL is already populated for me. I press OK. So by doing just this, I've already automated it to open the browser, but I want to go one step further, and I want to say, okay, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to click here, and I want you to type, for example, 20. And then, so you see, because this is a dynamic website, it hasn't done what I expected it to do. And this is why I said we need to avoid dynamic websites. And let me just show what's happened here. So it's clicked the text field, but because it's a dynamic website, it's not recognized that it is a text field. With these advanced websites now, they don't really work in the legacy way. So I think XE is going to be a bit complicated for us to do. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to scrap that and go for something more simple that I've showed you before. Unless there is another suggestion, Ellen, that we could use.
Yeah, there was a translator tool suggested. So deepl.com
Okay.
/en/translator.
Deepl.com. Let's see. I hope it's like an older website, so you have a button to press. Test. You see, again, dynamic. I mean, this is not impossible to do. It's just not ideal for our time sake. But let me
we've got another currency calculator just shared if you want to copy that link across.
Oh, it has a button to press. Lovely. That's what I'm looking for. Let's try that. Look at that. Okay. I think that will work because we've got an amount there. You press calculate, it even refreshes and everything. And okay, this is the result, I assume. Perfect. Let's do that. Okay, let's go with that. Record. So I want to open this browser, and I want to go to this website, and then I want to see, this is what I was looking for. So it's recognized that is a text field, and then I say I want to type, let's say 200, and I've got the facility to empty that field first before I type anything. So if there was anything in there, it's fine. Well, UiPath will just clear it and type it for me. And then, as you can see, UiPath is recognizing these individual elements on this website. So because it can recognize any of those things, those elements, that means you can automate all of those things. You can say, okay, click on this button, click on that button. And then obviously what I'm going to do here is look at the calculate button, press that, and there you go. And then the next thing I need to do is read the output. So if I go to text and copy text, and then again, I can choose the whole section. I can choose a bit of the section. Let's go with just, so shall I go with this or shall I read the whole thing? What do you guys think? I think I've got the chat open over here.
I think 2 decimal places. Can you do that?
We can format it, that's not a problem. But at the moment, shall we, I'm thinking, let's just read the output of conversion from dollars to euros.
Yeah.
Let's get that. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's asking me if I want to use an anchor. What an anchor is that it allows me to say, okay, if this moves on the screen, what should be to the left of it? So I can choose to say, okay, find that element by looking for the other element which should be on the left of it. But for the sake of this exercise, we'll just keep it simple. And let's just save what I've just done. And let's visualize what we just recorded there. So as you can see, I've now got a sequence of events that I've recorded. If I go into that sequence, you can see the browser activity that's already programmed to go into this website and change dollars to euros. And also, it has captured that I clicked on a field and I put it in input, and I clicked on a button, and then I read something, okay? So the question now is, Does it work? If I close the web browser, we can find out. Sometimes you need to fine tune things, sometimes you don't. So let's find out if we need to do any fine tuning after doing this, this operation here. So if I press play, the browser should open. It should go to the website that we've chosen, put 200, press calculate, and then get me the result. So the fact that it's taking a while for it to press calculate indicates that either the location has changed or it's just slow at finding the element on screen. But I don't know if you guys saw that. It did press calculate and the operation ended, which means that it successfully did what we expected it to do. But how do you know it's read this information here? So I can just put in a message box for our purposes so we can see it. And sorry? So if you look at this activity, it's outputted into a variable, and that's another thing that's quite important once you're looking at any programming, and it's not different when you're doing UiPath. Variables are basically like storage kind of boxes where, you know, when the robot is working, it needs to store the information it gets somewhere, and this is what enables RPA to integrate, because it can store the information from, let's say, Internet Explorer, and then it can go into Excel, and then it can check the variable where the information was stored, and then say, okay, I want to take the information from there and put it into Excel. So I'm just going to rename this to result for our purposes, so it's just a bit clearer. And then I'm going to choose to say on the message box, I want you to display the result variable. So now when I run the robot, it should do everything else, and then it should have a message box with the result for me. So let me just close the browser. Actually, closing the browser, I don't have to do that manually every time. Let me just say close tab, and then every time it runs, it will just close the tab automatically. I don't have to do that. So let's press play and see what happens. So what you see is when it gets to this website, oh, there you go. That's pretty quick. Didn't even get a chance for me to explain. So there you go. We have put in one text input and we have got the output for it. What you guys think so far? Sorry if I'm moving too fast. Is that looking good? Is it what you expected it to be, building a robot?
Feel free to put on the mic or put some messages in the chat. Yeah, we've got great. Yeah, that's good.
Cool. So give me a number that you guys, just give me any random number and I'll just put it in, and you will see the robot then using that number instead of the number that we've had before. And what we can do is actually we can use a variable for this. So let me create a variable called value, for example. And then by default, I'm going to put in a number in there. So if you guys can give me a number.
150?
150, let's go with that. Okay. So again, if I'm typing something, I can't just put 150. I have to specify what I'm typing in. So because this is a string, it has to be within quotes, 150. And that's what I said when, you know, you need to have some technical ability, but, you know, it's not that difficult. It's just an expression that we're writing here. So as you can see, the browser is closed. I'm going to run the bot, and this time it should pick up 150 from the value variable, do the calculation, and then show us the message box with the result. Okay, so fingers crossed. Does everyone think that's going to work?
Hopefully.
Let's go. Let's find out. Moment of truth. So 150 has been typed. Oh, okay, 135. Thank you very much.
We just had a question about whether you can ask, you can program it to ask values every 5 minutes and then store the results in a database.
Yes, you can do that. You can. So, you know, if you wanted a bot to run continuously and keep prompting values on screen and then you would enter them, yes, it can do that. And if you wanted it to store into the database, you can do that as well. So if you look at activities, if there is no database activity in here, very simply, you can download it from a package of activities that UiPath themselves created. Or if, you know, the community has created, they would have created activities to integrate with different types of database. You can have a SQL database, for example. You can have an Access database. As a matter of fact, I used an Access database quite recently, and I used one of the activities in here. So pretty straightforward stuff, to be honest. So yeah, you can do that.
Great. And could you do that from multiple sites as well?
You can do that from multiple sites indeed. Like, so as you can see here, I have got this browser open for this particular website. Now, if I wanted to have multiple browsers, what I would do is I would output this browser here and call it browser 1, for example. And then I could have another browser and call it browser 2. And then when I want to close a tab or interact with that browser, if it's browser 1, I'd put all the activities within browser 1. If it's browser 2, all activities with browser 2. And if I want to close the tab, it asks me, what browser do you want to close? So yeah, you can do all of that, and you can organize all of this in your workflow. So I will show you guys my surprise, which involves going deeper into a workflow and showing the different things you can do.
Oh, cool. So that answers actually, or hopefully answers one of the other questions that's come in. So Brent has said generally for them, manipulating Office documents or data entry seems to work really well for this kind of RPA. And he's quite interested to hear what you work on in a bit more detail. I've got another couple of questions though, so we'll see if you're already going to answer them or not.
Yeah.
Can we use this tool to automate in-house software packages?
Yes, that's exactly what RPA is mainly for. It's used quite a lot with legacy applications because sometimes you get these applications that, you know, for you to build an API for so you can do backend automation, it's a lot of effort and little return. With RPA, you just use the front end. So let me just quickly demonstrate to you that if I wanted to automate a calculator app, for example, then I can simply just, you know, do a recording, and it knows all of the buttons in the calculator app. So this would be no different if you had a legacy sort of application. It would recognize it, no problems whatsoever. So yes, to answer that question. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my surprise with you guys, and hopefully everything goes to plan. So I will take your questions after that. Hopefully we'll have some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate this with something I've built before, and you'll be able to send your input. So whatever number you want to convert via email, and then you're going to get the response from the bot. The bot will talk to you and give you that response. So for that, I just need to do a few modifications, and we should be up and running. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, instead of leaving result as a variable, I've put it in as an argument. An argument is basically a variable that either comes in or goes out. So what the robot will do, rather than showing the result in a text box, I will put this robot on the process I've built before, and the robot will run and output the text, and then with what I've built before, you know, be able to take that information and go somewhere with it, which I'll show you in a moment. So I've done that. Let me just open what I've had before. Okay, what I have to do is, because I've got this sequence all in one place, I just take that from there and put it in what I've prepared previously, and it just goes in just like that. So what I've done here, this is a process that I've built. It's a sub-process of a main process that will allow us to then call this particular action, get the result, and send it back to us on email. Sorry if it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a bit difficult to explain as I'm modifying it as well, but it should be clear as I do it. Okay, there you go. Okay, I can take some questions whilst I'm just modifying this, Ellen.
Great. One of the questions was, could you do this via WhatsApp? And also, could you do it on a MacBook Pro?
I don't think the RPA applications currently work on Macs and things like that, but they're mainly Windows. But I think with WhatsApp, when they've asked the question via WhatsApp, what do they mean? Automate WhatsApp itself? Because I've done that. I had WhatsApp on my desktop, and I kind of automated it to send messages to family and things like that. So you can do that.
David, do you want to just ask what you mean by that? You're on mute.
Yeah, how's it?
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. What I wanted to ask is, I use WhatsApp quite a lot, and sometimes I have questions that I ask various clients, and then they give it back to me, and I'd love to automate that in some way.
Yes. So what we will have to do is you'd have to have WhatsApp on your desktop. And so you can very easily connect your WhatsApp to your desktop, and then we can have a robot running, monitoring your WhatsApp. And if any new messages come up, reads it. And if you've pre-programmed it to answer that specific question, it'll answer it. If not, we can even program it to then, prompt you via email or text message. You can reply via text message or something like that. As long as you can have a program on the computer, you can automate it, at least with UiPath and Blue Prism. I know there are applications that can do RPA on your mobile as well, but that's not kind of my area. I work on enterprise level kind of Windows-based programs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. So this is what the surprise basically is for you guys. I've built a process that will is connected to my Outlook, and I've got a folder called Robot. Okay, so if you go to my website, zicarconsultancy.co.uk, there is a section called ZBot. Sorry, I'll just put this on the chat. Or Ellen, do you mind putting that on the chat for the guys, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
And if you go to the section called ZBot, Zicar bot, very, very, very innovative, the name, but you should be prompted for a password. The password is robot123, all lowercase. And what you need to do there is simply just put in your name, your email address, and put in MKAI and the number that you want to put in there. So when you put in your number, what's going to happen is I'll run the bot. It'll pick up your message. It will run the bot, and you'll see it on screen, and then reply to you. You can try the other two that I've created for checking share prices and checking if a website is down as well. Now, one thing I'd ask for the MKAI one, make sure you just put a number. Don't try to break it, because I haven't catered for any exceptions.
What was their password again? Sorry, Azim.
It's robot123. So the MKAI bot obviously will only be able to handle numbers. If you put anything else, you'll break the robot. But for the other two, you can try different things. So keep them coming in. What's going to happen is when you send in on that form, I have programmed Outlook to filter that, and you'll come into the robot folder. And then when I run the robot, it's programmed to retrieve all unread messages from that folder, and then it will work them. And as it works them, it chooses to see what the input was. Was it MKAI? Was it share, or is it down? And based on that, you will process your request and get you the output, and then you'll respond to you. So I'm just going to try it out really quickly, because obviously I just need to make a few modifications for our bot to work that we've just built. So I'm just going to do a quick test. So if I put my name, put my own email, and then I put in, was the MKAI, and then let's say I want to convert 100, just keep it simple. So I've submitted that now. So if I refresh here, it should just come up on there. Okay, so we've got a few others, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark these as red so the bot doesn't pick it up, because I just need to test it. So what the bot will do is pick up this email, read your name from it, and you will know who to reply to already, and then pick up the 100 from there, and then it's going to run the bot, hopefully, if it all works to plan. So let me just make sure everything is in order. Okay, yeah, that should work. Let's give it a try and see what happens. Okay, so 100 typed. Okay, I should have a reply. So obviously my reply will come into the robot folder itself, because I've emailed myself. Let's see what happens. There you go. So that's working now. So perfect. So the robot has picked up the Outlook email, has looked at the input, understood the input, done the task, and responded back. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to mark all your emails back as unread. And if you can keep the inputs coming, try to break, you can try and break share and the is it down, because they've been programmed to handle invalid input as well. You can even put like a blank field, and you will deal with that as well. So I'm just going to run the robot, and we're going to see it doing the different tasks that you've asked it to do. So it's going to pick up the email. Let's see what happens. If you have any invalid inputs, it will reply back to you and say, you know, that the input is invalid as well. Okay, so it seems like it's worked, but it seems like all the inputs have been invalid so far because it hasn't really gone in. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. You see, yeah, so because you've put in MKAI without the 2 dots, then oh, you tried to break it as well. You didn't put a number, but you didn't put the 2 dots. So obviously that's invalid, and the robot knows that that's invalid. Again, here there was no MKAI or share. So again, try that again, and let's see what we can do. Just going to refresh that, see if we got any more emails. Okay, let me just check that one. Oh, perfect. So that one should work. Let me mark that as unread. Guys, try the other 2 options as well that you've got in there. You don't have to try just the MKAI, the one we've just built. It can be something else. So hopefully, there you go. Perfect. So you should have your reply now. And I'll leave the bot running, and as emails come in, it will work. So I'm leaving the bot running in the background continuously, and every 30 seconds, you'll keep checking for new emails. So this email has been replied to, and here is what you should have in your mailbox. There you go. That was the reply. So if you can put a few more requests in, and I just refresh this, then the bot will just pick them up as soon as we get any more. And that was it. I hope you guys like that. I would have liked someone to put a share or is it down on the website. So is it down, you just put in a website URL after you've put is it down, and share, you just put in a company name, and it will check the share price on Google and give you the output. So if anything comes in, it will work in. So there you go, Ellen, you've put in something. The robot should pick that up soon, and then it should work in. There you go. Perfect. So you have your reply, Ellen. And I think that's about it, guys. I'll leave the bot running, and if you guys want to keep sending stuff in, it will work for the next couple of minutes. But that's all I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that we have given you an insight into RPA and how it all works. And I know it is quite brief, but I think in 40 minutes, that's all we can achieve. So if you got any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them. Or Ellen, we need to go back.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm just checking on the timings in the other room. I think they were running a few minutes late.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem. I guess one of the first questions that came in was just a little bit more understanding of the kind of stuff that you do in your day-to-day. So perhaps if you could share some of the example applications that you do.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm an IT contractor. So obviously what I do is I go to clients, and because of my experience, I work as a lead developer, you know, I lead teams in building robots, especially Blue Prism robots. So the things you see with companies is that they've had legacy applications that they've wanted to automate. So these have been processes that have been going on for years and years. For example, I had a company I was just working in at to do with pensions. They had the processes where, you know, if a customer wants to, you know, remove their pension and they wants to cash out their pension, they would need to send in a form. So we build a robot to pick up that form, read the details on that form, and then from there start, you know, going into the CRM application and processing the cash out kind of request. And you know, A lot of the times you can't automate absolutely everything because there is always a human element to these things, but at least the robot would handle 80% of the cases. So that's mainly at the moment the use case for RPA. What I've seen is it will deal with most of the use cases, but with the cases where you need human judgment, obviously, you wouldn't be able to parameterize your robot. So that's where you still need to do it manually, but everything else, the repetitive work will be taken away from you.